There's no logical explanation for what you're about to see. My dog Millie waits in front of the glass door every day at 7:30 a.m., standing there like a statue. She never barks or scratches at the door. So this isn't like her waiting to go outside. It's as if she's waiting for someone. A few minutes later, a tiny shadow darted over the fence. As if he owned the house, he jumps right through the window. His name is Esquilo. The story of how this little squirrel joined our family began in a way we never expected. The whole story began months ago. It all started when my daughter, who was planning to become a veterinarian, came home holding a tiny, trembling creature in her hands. It had fallen from its nest in the tree. It had gone without water for days. One of its eyes was completely closed due to an infection. We had never cared for a squirrel before in our lives. We didn't know what to do. My daughter stayed up all night, feeding it with a syringe. She kept it warm and helped it survive. The true hero of those days was definitely my daughter. Since I work from home, I quickly became a full-time squirrel dad. This little friend who slept in my lap in the early days turned into a mischievous assistant who wouldn't get off my shoulder months later. He'd fall asleep on my keyboard after I closed the computer screen. Sometimes we'd find the half walnuts he tried to hide in the far corners of the house. But our biggest fear was our dog, Millie. She was quite large, and we were worried she might hurt the little squirrel. Something interesting happened the moment they met. Millie never barked. It was as if she were holding her breath. She calmly approached him and began sniffing him with her nose. In that moment, I realized that Esquilo was now part of our family. 4 months later, Esquilo had grown incredibly strong. One day, while watching him, I realized the harsh truth the moment he swiftly climbed the wooden post in the living room. He was a wild animal. It was time for him to return to the wild where he belonged. I'll never forget that first night I left him outside alone. I couldn't sleep all night. When morning came, at exactly 7 a.m., I ran out to the garden in my pajamas. I was calling his name desperately and hopefully. About 2 minutes later, I heard the rustling of leaves among the trees. The moment our eyes met, he ran over to me. He didn't hesitate for a moment as he jumped onto my shoulder. We went inside together. He started eating his walnut just like he used to. From that day on, this strange moment of ours began to repeat itself every day. Esquilo comes to the door every morning to play with Millie. He runs around the garden. When he gets tired, he comes over and taps my head with his little paw. I think this might be his unique way of saying, "It's time for me to go back to the forest." We spend time together. 2 hours later, he returns to his life, back among the trees. When he disappears among those branches, our home grows quiet. But every morning, we have a dog waiting at the door and his best friend living in the forest. Seeing different species form such a pure bond proves that life's most beautiful connections are forged in moments we never planned. However, the rest of the story would become even more interesting in the next video. What do you think about a dog and a squirrel becoming friends? Is that even possible?